We got a small crowd tonight. I think everybody else is all worn out.
Crowd.
That's right. That's right.
We can still make mischief. It's okay.
And probably better mischief because there's less to spread it around. Mm-hmm. So Nikki suggested and Kayla suggested a question to get us going.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good day.
Yeah, Sunday.
You're welcome.
We're going to jump right in. Now, if you are new, please feel free. Hey, Sandy. Sandy's in with us. Hey, Sandy, one of our helpers in the store.
Hola.
If you are new and joining us, feel free to type in questions in the comments section. We will answer them live. You can ask about psychic work, mediumship work, healing, how any of us got into it, favorite methods that we may have. The only thing we are not answering is anything completely inappropriate and or this is not for free readings.
Well, okay.
Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna go then. I mean, you know.
Right. Hey, Laura. Laura's one of our other readers. One of these days we will get her on one of these with us. I might have to blackmail her or somehow surprise her into it and be like, haha, you're on screen. To make it But one of the suggestions was, how is it working for you guys when, as a reader, you're reading another reader? Do you short one another out? Do you find it difficult to make that connection? Oh, hey, Erin. Hello. Hello, hello.
Hey.
Because I know that there's sometimes
you get a reading and then buy the cards that the reader...
Oh, yeah. See, Kayla's like, or you get a reading and you end up buying the cards the reader used.
Because you have no willpower. You're supposed to be reading, but you had to buy the cards.
Right, right. Oh,
I wish I could get part of that sale.
And Nikki is over here, so there's actually 2 extra readers on my side. But so, ladies, who wants to go first? Reading another reader. How does that work for you? How does that help or hinder?
I think it definitely helps because I know for me personally, if I'm reading for another reader, you don't have to preface as much. You don't have to.
There's no if, it's when.
Yeah, basically.
We all do that.
We all eventually sit down in front of one another. But yeah, you don't have to preface as much. You don't have to kind of sugarcoat anything. You get to basically do like the sibling thing of, all right, you know what you're asking for, so here it is. Mm-hmm. And you get to just go for it. And I find that a lot of times their energy tends to be a lot more open and a lot more free-flowing because they know they sat down for an intent. They sat down and they know what you're trying to do, so it's easier for them to feed into it for you and just go, all right, here, take my energy and run with it. So I like reading for other readers.
I have to say the same. I do. And in fact, I read for 3 readers today. So I did. I'm not announcing...
Hercules.
Wait, I read for Grandma. Does that count?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
Right, Grandma out of the reader closet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like
she's being stubborn.
She is. No, finish that thought. I want to hear this.
Oh, she is so stubborn. Oh, she will tell you like it is, but she is so stubborn at getting off and doing it for public. Because she will just slam you, basically.
Grandma's not for the faint-of-hearted.
No.
She's going to tell you about yourself. So if you don't want the boot to the ass type of thing about yourself, do not ask Grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Rhonda. Rhonda's joining us. Christina.
Nice.
Hey, everybody. So, because sometimes I've heard some of the concerns would be like Joan as a tarot reader or Alexa. Somebody else sits down across the table from you. They're a tarot reader and you're trying to give them the reading. And then they're going to contradict you what the meaning of the card means in that particular reading, because to them, the 3 of Swords is this. And, maybe they try to overtake the reading from you, even though at that time you were the reader. How would you kind of, bring that back down and?
Okay, so let me hit it two
Nikki says, "Don't let them see the cards."
Don't let them see the cards. Just keep them close. Know when to fold them. Yeah, know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. Anyhow, with the readers that we have in the store, and anybody else that I know is a reader, that knows me as a reader, like Alex said, we're very open and honest with each other. The 15-minute reading turns into a 5-minute reading, but you're getting solid content all at once, right then and there, ripping the Band-Aid off. Sometimes I have to go through my own process like I normally do with a standard reading. And then I'll hear, just give it to me. What are you picking up? Are you picking up on anything else? Go right for it. But it helps me get into my groove. When I sit down, and I did this years ago, so I admit to this, where I would try to say, nope, this is what I'm picking up. And then I realize I'm paying for the reading. Why am I paying them for me to tell them what's on the cards? So I've had several people do that, and I'll say, let me finish. Let's go through the whole reading, and then we'll come back, and then we'll add in, because I don't want them to feed me any information. So, we'll see what happens. But it's good. I try to get them involved too.
I feel like sometimes they try to challenge you just because, or won't even acknowledge things because they're like, they just want to see how far they can kind of push you or what else you'll grasp at, kind of a thing. And it's like
stump the reader,
right? Like even if they know you're dead on, they're just trying to change it. It's like, yep, not getting anything else for that. That's still the message coming through, and it's.
I play that game.
I mean, you might as well get your money's worth for what you're paying for, right? Get what you want with it.
Dance for me.
How many times today?
Now, kind of a flip side, Maria, because you do mediumship work. And there was somebody I was talking with today about knowing who your dead people are. So when you're sitting there with the medium and they're trying to give a message, and you're like, no, I don't have that. How do you continue that reading if you've got somebody who is just unaware of who their dead people are?
I don't ask them for any names, or I don't ask them for any information whatsoever. I said, let me tell you what's coming to me. And I start describing, female, male, da da da. And then they're like, younger male, older male. And I said, younger. And they said, okay, I have an idea who you're talking about. And I said, okay. Because a lot of these people, they have they want to bring in a whole slew of dead people. But I'm not going to give you a whole community. I'm not going to go all the way down your ancestor line. I'm only going to go where you need information from or you need a message from. So I basically say, this is what's coming in, and and I start describing, and oh, I know who you're talking about, and I go, let me finish, and then I say, oh, okay, yes, okay. Like I had a lady today. She's actually she's a medium psychic. And I started talking to her, and she said, okay, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. She said, which side of the family though? And I said, male, father, She said, okay, we're talking about the same person. So that's how I do it. I don't, and then later on the name would come up, as the reading go, the messages go, the names come up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we have latecomer Elias in,
I mean,
it's about time.
I think you're past the fashionably late period here.
Is that a beer?
Looks like a Pepsi. Where's the moonshine, Elias?
Yeah, where is this moonshine that we had all day?
Elias, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
Are you muted?
Dun, dun.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Ha. Now we can talk crap about him and he can't answer back. That's the only guy in the group here.
I don't think he's complaining about being the only guy in the group, though.
Look at that face. There it is.
My mic's not working?
There you are. There you are.
Okay. Might have to put the headset on,
Hey. So, quick, well, Kayla, a different Kayla, not this Kayla, for our tarot readers, says, "Hi, ladies. Is there any way to properly teach yourself to read tarot cards? I have a deck and I struggle with understanding what the cards are telling me when I do a reading."
I started with a cheater deck. It had the meanings right on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had my regular tarot, but to get help, yeah, a lazy tarot, any of the decks that have like the little what might be the meanings. Angel tarot, by the way. I'm not naming any names, but yeah, I started with that one. But then I would go to the what I'll call the grown-up cards. But what I also teach people is use the pictures. Sometimes the meaning that's in the book doesn't necessarily mean what um what it what it is deemed in the book, but what are you picking up from that picture?
Mm-hmm.
So
And like
just
Nikki said, different books with different meanings.
right.
I usually recommend people make sure you're working with a deck that you want to play with. Make sure it's a deck that you want to pick up. It's not just a deck that, well, it was the first one I bought, so I'll use it. Like, it should be a deck that you get excited to pick up and want to use and want to look at those pictures. And honestly,
Sorry. She's over here making
I
faces.
love the deck today. I can't. I love the deck. I'm agreeing with her point because I didn't intend to buy a deck today, and I was like, I have to have these
because that's the
and I
one you're
threw
going
it
to pick
across
up
the
and
store
use
on
now.
accident out of excitement. Like, oh look!
You're welcome.
But
This is why I'm sending you back to New York tomorrow. You're right.
I'm staying in Ohio one more day. I'm just crashing somebody else's house tomorrow. So the party's
Fair
still on.
warning.
The other thing that I found that's been super helpful is find a friend that'll let you read with them. And you and this other friend, or you and this other person can be equally as experienced or inexperienced. But there is something really, one, validating, but two, it also teaches you which parts of your intuition you should be listening to. It helps you identify that voice. If you're reading for someone and suddenly they go, yeah, no, that, like, it'll suddenly make you realize, okay, whatever just got me to say that thing to you, whatever just got me to notice this specific, image on the card or color, that's your intuition speaking. And a lot of times you need someone there as a sounding board. You need someone that you can trust to go, oh, no, you're onto something. That makes sense to me because, X, Y, Z, blah, blah. So do it with a friend. Find a deck you love and then find a friend that won't mind throwing cards down with you to kind of see what you guys come up with.
I know this great place that you could go to on the
Really,
second
Joan?
Tuesday
Where?
of every month. It's called Goddess Elite.
Meetup.
And it's a divination meetup. $5 in person or via Zoom. Those that join, we talk about a topic and we'll answer all questions based on your own experiences. But we also give each other readings and we walk each other through the readings as well. So it's always a safe space. And people that it's every level of experience. People that have never read cards to people that have been reading cards for years. So we all sit around and talk and try different things, and whether it's cards or we've done scrying, we've done all kinds of stuff, but we love to have the conversation, and it just feels really good to talk to other people with the same likes.
And so here is another good reason why to team up with somebody. So Kayla's follow-up is dealing with the death card. It does not necessarily mean that somebody has died or is going to die. It's change, it's transformation, it's the ending of something, and so something else, so usually a situation can begin. And honestly, I myself don't really do tarot. I don't have the discipline to sit there and memorize a million freaking cards. I'll look at the artwork, I'll use other things, but what I hear most for people who catch on quicker is the constant practice and using and learning and using and learning and not just reading a book. I even tried doing that whole, like, getting the notebook and spend a day with every card and writing down. And
There's even an app.
Oh, Nikki says there's apps.
Of course there's an app
so
for
There's an app for that.
And you know what I ended up with? 2 full notebooks, because I tried doing it twice, full of notes and not a damn thing in my head about it. So you're the same.
Tarot does not resonate with me at all, no matter how. Actually, I was talking about this with Joan. I do like oracle cards, but more for like the fun, light, like, if you're trying to move somebody into like the psychic mediumship part, trying to get them to embrace it. Yeah, I kind of like, or even just for fun, kind of for yourself thing. But tarot, just kind of like in one ear, out the other, over my head. Like, I just can't.
Yes. And then you have Elias who does the runes, and that's a fun deck.
But this,
Like Cards Against Humanity, but in tarot oracle.
But in oracle form. It's
there
great.
you go.
But see, like Elias, now you've got on with the runes, and let's face it, runes are even harder, in my opinion, because there's no picture to look at.
I got lucky with the runes. Listen, I learned in the first place through the book Futhark by Edred Thorson, but I also had a particular idiot that. Oh, listen, I use that in the best way. Oh, I know some beautiful idiots, but this one, he knew the runes, he understood them, and one of the things that you hear is that the best of teachers will lead you up to something, but not tell you what it is because you have to get it. And we would literally walk a dirt track on a regular basis and just talk about the meditations that were in the book, what kind of imagery I got, what it meant to me. He helped me with what were the basic understandings of each rune, and it just developed from there into what it could be. And then again, another one of those intuitive things, because I was doing pulls, doing my 3 rune, 5 rune pulls, and trying to make sense of them, and in the order that they came out, and it was just driving me nuts. But my runes are hand carved. I made them. He gave me blanks. He sat with me while I carved them, and the thing that got me was that one night I had a dream. There was just a huge cup of black coffee, and that was spinning, and the runes floated up out of the coffee to the surface of the coffee, and then they just kind of floated around. Yeah, and that was the entire point, was that runes float. So I get my pull, and then I just get to shifting them around, and they make sense, and that's how I got it. Now I actually do pretty good. I used to keep them aside strictly for magical purposes. I would use those for spell work and just my tarot for reading. But Gregory was the one who actually suggested to me that I incorporate them into my reading, and it has increased the value of what I'm able to do.
Well, that's another thing. Like, you can use tarot in spell work too.
Mm-hmm.
So divination tools can also become magical tools. Hey, Lori. Lori's another local reader. I'm going to have to rope her into reading at the store at some point.
Well, I think the other thing is, like, it has to be a divination method that resonates with you. Like, if you're having trouble, like Melissa said, like, you keep trying to learn the tarot and you're like, man, this isn't sticking. That's not your dance. That's not the way you're meant to do it. Go pick up something else. Like, for example, Elias has such good luck or such good work reading with runes. Recently in my practice, I've gotten into the Nordic practices a little bit more. So the runes for me aren't necessarily divination or reading. They're meant for internal meditation. I'm using them for, creating a story and how do I apply those to my life. But it's because I can relate to them. So they're sticking in my head more. They're relating in my head more. You ask me, and I've been a pagan for 15 years, when's the next full moon? I'm like,
let me check my app.
Google it. Because my brain's not built for that. That's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, full moons are all well and good, but you
Monday, Tuesday.
Thanks, Joan. Or you just ask Joan. She knows.
Joan always knows.
You got to find what resonates.
Also, the advantage of working in groups, because you get a good group that you resonate with. Nobody knows it all, but if you find the people who know what you don't, it just it increases.
Right.
Tag
So who's right here. Do you find runes are more chatty than cards when you maybe
a question?
Yeah, I heard you. So do you find that the runes are more chatty than cards if you're ignoring them, Elias?
No. I don't necessarily ignore any of my tools. I do have tools that I have not picked up yet that are just waiting their turn. But no, the runes are not chatty, but when they say something, they mean it.
Yeah, they tend to be more direct. Tarot can be pretty harsh, but the runes are like, this is it, and there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, if I don't work with mine like fairly often, they'll just like basically like be screaming in my house, like, okay, I'm coming in there, I'll come see you, because I don't work with them all the time. So yeah, they tend to get like bossy with me, like, all right, I'm coming back and I'll come revisit you. Sorry.
I find the runes are like the quiet guy at the end of the bar. He don't say much, but when he does, you need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So John says, for a bunch, isn't the cards and other stuff more for the person you are reading? When you as a reader get a vision or hearing come to you, that is what is for the person. I'm not saying cards aren't for you. They are, but more for the clients.
Oh, I find. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Is he asking more like, or is he like pointing out more like it's less the tool and more the practitioner?
No.
I don't know. I find it very difficult to read for myself. When it comes to divination or stuff, I'm not capable of using the cards for myself. I have a hard time being objective. So anytime that I present any information, it belongs to my client. They can leave the table, and 10 minutes later, I won't remember the reading at all. I might remember the customer, but I don't remember the reading because it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to them.
But the cards also have to speak to the reader in a way that the reader will understand it. So there is a language of them.
Yeah, the message is for the client, but the reader needs to be able to understand what the message is to relay it to the client. That's the same thing even in mediumship. The imagery you may be getting may not make any sense to you, but it will for the clients. And you have to step out of, like, this makes no sense, I'm not going to say it. Say it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, unless you have somebody who is just blatantly don't know who their dead people are. And they usually come back later and say, oh, that was, Uncle Joe, so-and-so.
Oh, here's a good one. I had a reading earlier today that I was talking with someone, gave them a name, and they said, oh, the shortened version, they could use that, but it wasn't necessarily the name. The name didn't make sense to them. I had someone else come up to my table, look down at my paper and go, that name is very popular in my family. It's my dad, it's my uncle, it's a this, and it's a that. And I'm like, okay, so I was a little ahead of my time, I guess.
You don't say.
The correspondences may be very personal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading the cards, and I will grab an image, and it will bring up a memory or a thought from my past, from my personal experience, that has no relevance to what I'm doing, and I haven't thought about it in forever. But the reference provides me information that the client does resonate with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we have Dr. Mystical down in Florida.
Oh, hey.
Just called Mystical. Sorry.
Dr. Mystical. Hopefully we'll have Mike and Kayla back for winery in September.
My buddy abandoned me.
Why? Because he moved to Florida?
Yeah. No, we have worked together in Florida since, so I guess.
Let's see. So feel free, guys, to ask questions, comments. Otherwise, these guys will probably end up in inappropriate conversation. I have to yell at them.
What was my question?
Dinosaur ghosts?
No.
Oh, about the dinosaur ghosts? Like, why aren't there dinosaur ghosts?
No.
That's a great question, actually.
And see or something like that.
It's probably because they don't have much to say to us. That's what.
I mean, we did ask Marianne that, and she's like, I never realized it, but I've never seen it. And I'm like, maybe the thing was so good, it just opened up this portal, sucked them all in. I don't know.
Okay, so think about it this way, though. Like, I'll watch, I'll consume any sort of paranormal TV show just for the sake of. You've got somebody exploring some, ancient Grecian ruin, and they're speaking English, and it's like, try Latin. Because whatever you're trying to reach to, so that brings up the question, Maria, is language a barrier for mediums? No.
No.
Why not?
No,
Tell me
because
more.
I'm actually speaking straight to my guides, and then I let if I have a client, I'm reading their energy, I'm feeling their energy, I'm connecting to the energy, and that's when I connect to their dead loved ones.
And so,
So
speaking of language and barrier, how about language and aliens?
actually,
more 3 a.m. wake up calls.
I did a reading on a woman who I was completely shocked. She was completely shocked because I said, "You have been in contact with other beings," and she said, "What do you mean by other beings?" And I said, "Of not in this life, not in this world." And I said, "For right now, do not speak to them because you're not ready. There's a lot more." But
it can be intense, and that can be definitely a wormhole you don't want to go down if you're not prepared for it. So I ask me that specifically sometimes. Like, I just want to communicate with them just once. Can I have one experience? I'm like, probably not.
It's not a free
no, because once you open up that door, I cannot help you shut it. I don't know how to shut it. So yeah.
Yeah, go to that one.
I keep pointing at this one. Oh well, Mike says he's trying to get out of Florida just for you.
Oh,
Fuck out, Mike.
What do you really want?
So Nikki had a good question. So some of according to the interwebs, the Fool is considered the most important and powerful card in the deck. And go, is it really?
I don't see him as more important or less important. It's not necessarily a hierarchy of importance. It's necessarily your Fool is your starting point. When you run through your major arcana, your trump cards there, you start and you end with the Fool. And you can map the Fool's journey. It is a full circle. It encompasses all those cards. And you are basically following a story, if you will, of what this poor Fool is doing. And at the beginning, he's not actually on the wheel of the journey. He and the world are both kind of in the middle of the journey.
Translate that.
And then, what?
No.
My stomach is pissed at the chicken noodle soup, and I'm like, I'm going to mute myself. And then Kayla's like, like that. Shut up.
But you can map the Fool's journey, and his journey starts with, actually, he's card 0. He starts with card 1 in the Magician and goes all the way around. So he's not the most important or like the chief card, but he's your starting point. He is literally, your door's about to open and nobody knows what's on the other side of it. And you just have to be brave enough to take that step and open that door and see what's there.
If you read the Fool's Journey or take the Fool's Journey, then the Fool becomes more representative of the client themselves and their travels through and meeting the people that are the major arcana, the people and events of the tarot itself.
So is he then?
So it becomes not just the Fool's journey, but the personal journey, and having the faith and having the balls to step off and actually move off into something and learn and grow.
Okay, so then why do we have the Fool card in the deck? It really is his journey, that person's journey, and it's a reference point. You can put the Fool next to any other, all 77 cards in that deck, and it will mean something related to the Fool. Fool being so innocent and unknowing, next to the Empress. Oh, now you have all the power and you can rule from the roost. Or next to the Death card, transition, transformation, new choices, doors closing and opening. Technically, we could just rip that Fool card out, throw it away, and move on. Read with the 77 instead of 78. Haha.
So Jessica says that she just learned of Odin's connection to the Fool. Any of you guys aware of that?
And the Coyote, most native readings, native tarots.
No? Crickets.
Not directly, but there's...
I want to be the sound girl. Can I do sounds?
No.
Foley work.
While there are decks that will correspond the major arcanas with the runes or the Nordic pantheons and so on and so forth, I'm not aware of the direct connection, but I can see some of the relationships and where the Fool would have its associations to Odin.
Yeah, because if I think Odin and Terra, my mind obviously first goes to the Hanged Man, just because that's how Odin gained his knowledge, was that he literally hung himself from Yggdrasil to gain the knowledge of the runes. But I mean, that's a pretty easy jump.
It's a sacrifice of self. Sacrifice of self to the higher self
for greater knowledge.
Giving up the lower self and suffering in exchange for the higher knowledges. Yes.
So Lori, yes, but is the major arcana not part of the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, though?
Ooh, that's something I'm still working with. I use the Tree of Life as my primary spread. So I each of the houses of my spread are the Sephirah of the primary tree. But if you look in various teachings and so on and so forth, it's the paths between the Sephirah that have major arcana associations. I haven't played with that yet because it's going to complicate the hell out of my learning process. Because if you have the understanding of the card in the path, then that's going to modify the connection between the two houses.
Where's Kabbalistic Tarot?
Yeah, there is. Going, what about the 9 worlds? And what about this? And how does it tie to the runes? And my mind's like,
Kayla's off on the.
Kayla, I'm gonna get ahead of you. It's all connected.
Not gonna sleep.
Oh,
it's all in there.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. One of the things that I ended up rolling when I was working with the runes in the first place is that all the world is contained within the circle of runes. Mm-hmm. Everything's in there. It's all a matter of the interrelations and how they lay out.
All right, Laura says that the Sun and Star are her favorite major arcana cards. Anybody
Not
else?
surprising.
I know I'm not a fan of the Tower because fuck that Tower.
Dr.
Mystical his Tower card at appropriate times.
I love the Tower when it's not mine.
When it's not yours. When
so here, let's talk about that.
So the next lady says beep. There should be a beep in there.
Tower card, I present that anytime that card flips over, I always hear, oh. And I go, oh no. And I had to say it a couple times today. That Tower card is, remember, it's just a reminder of what's coming. And would you rather be driving down the road and see the signs of what's coming up, or would you rather just ignore all, let's just tear down all the signs on the road so you can just decide to drive when to merge whenever you feel like it.
Good luck,
that
everyone.
Tower card is telling you, rather than having someone kick down your house, why don't you take it apart and do it yourself? And you can rebuild it to make it stronger. It's just building a stronger foundation. That's all it is. So it's better for you to be empowered. Don't you?
It is. I also see it as opening your perspectives. I mean, we spent all of our time building that ivory tower that we live in, our safe space. But think about it. You're living inside the tower. The only thing you get to see are through the windows that you put in. Okay? You can't see what's close because it's down there and you got to hang your head out the window, which nobody wants to hang their head out the window. Hell, that was why you built the tower in the first place.
Your tower's built with Legos. Take it apart and build a better tower.
Put some doors in that damn thing.
That's right.
Mike, Dr. Mystical, let's talk Tower card. So why I don't like the Tower card. Well, and I really don't care. It's just funny. After the fire 3 years ago, Mike does tarot on Tuesdays, blah, blah, blah. And it was like maybe Mike, a week or two after the fire. And I was like, what the hell? Like, Mike, do the reading. And he starts laughing before he shows the card. And it was like the Tower. And I'm like, your tower.
He's just laughing because he knows you love it.
And I'm like,
Well,
no.
I feel like everybody has that one card in the tarot deck. You're like, ugh.
Well, it
Like,
depends on the
this one.
time in your life too.
like I've never enjoyed the Hierophant for some reason. He's a great card, super swell guy, nothing personal. But it doesn't matter what deck, I turn him over and I'm like, ugh.
Like, oh, that one.
See, for me, it's the Ten of Swords. While you can walk through the entire deck. Everybody's scared of the death card. But I have never seen death associated with the death card.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I've seen a death of any kind, it's always been associated with the Ten of Swords.
Yeah, I love the death card. That's my favorite in the entire tarot. It's transition, it's movement. It's literally, you are literally being told, hey, a door's about to open, but you're gonna have to close the one behind you. And sometimes like that's a scary transition for people to make. And it's literally, it is a card that embraces the fact that universally change is a constant.
Mm-hmm.
And when you kind of learn to surf that and learn to be okay with change, you kind of get a little unstoppable as far as like what you can and can't handle.
You know which one I don't like out of all of those 78 cards? It's the Temperance card.
Really?
Patience. I got it now.
Yes.
So what is your life
She
lesson?
wants patience, and she wants it now.
That card.
So Laura suggests or says, depending on the cards around the tower, mostly it's taking life down to the foundation so you can rebuild the way it needs to be.
Yeah, I always look at the destruction that the tarot card brings. Like, look at all the raw resources you're left with. Like, I equate it sometimes. The other thing I'll use to equate it is like, sometimes fires are necessary because it restores nutrients to the soil. You've paved way for new growth. Don't get me wrong. The breakdown's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's not supposed to be uber pleasant, but you're gonna get through it. I mean, maybe get a helmet and put a helmet on and you're going to have a bruise on the other end, but you'll get through it.
It's definitely not a pleasant.
Just because the experience isn't pleasant doesn't mean it isn't valuable.
Well, and that's the thing, like around that time, like in the shaman training, our teacher did that pachacuti, which is the reversal, the unwinding, and didn't think anything of it. And it can take, actually, it was a year before. And it can take up to a year to go into full effect. And it was within like a couple of weeks of all of that happening. So when the next apprenticeship started and there was a young man who was like, oh, I want it. I'm like, you come here and let's talk about what that's going to mean for you. Sit down. You don't want this because that's something that you willfully do. And you only do that if you feel that you are at an absolute end, that you cannot make life better in any way, shape, or form on your own. So then you undo the whole universe, which is pretty much the tower. And I was part of a whole ceremony that a lot of people in our class did. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was for everybody else. So whenever I even hear Zane Pachacuti, I'm like, no. No. You get away from me with your Pachacuti.
This is a family show. You watch your language, young lady.
Yes. So that's the story behind me and Mike's tower card. There we go.
Shame on you.
Yes. Mike is an excellent reader. And hopefully, again, like I said, we'll have him soon for a winery.
You guys all have him to thank for how vocal and obnoxious I am now, because he like really shoved me out of my shell, dropped me down a few stairs, and stood me back up again.
So he's the one we blame.
Totally. Because I was really shy when I was Mike. I think it took me about 4 months to even like say hi to him in a class.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you. And now look at me. I bet my mother's proud.
Let's see. Wow, we only got 20 minutes left. That went by really quick. So anybody who's joining us, because I keep seeing the numbers fluctuate, feel free to ask questions in the comments. We'll answer them live for you. You want to know how any of the readers got into reading, how any of the healers got into healing, what the favorite modality or method of reading is. The only thing you can ask is for a free reading. because that's not why we're here. Pick our brains, ask our opinions.
Or just wait for us to get really silly.
Oh no!
I'm about halfway through my wine. We can push the gas on this.
Right? I almost grabbed it, but I'm like, I need to stay awake for the whole thing.
Chug.
Chug it.
I need to put in orders.
Drinking?
I need to put in some orders and get each of you a jar.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes.
So Melissa, I got to use my additions to my brood today in readings.
How did
She
that
added to
go?
her bag.
So my originally the original brood of 9 little cute dicks were all beautiful and all lonely, and I've had them for about 1.5 years now. And then Colleen, who also works at the shop, shot me a message on Friday, and it was like, "Hey, look what came into the store!" And there's just bags of gemstone dicks, and I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "Are they out?" She goes, "Yeah, they're here." I'm like, "Great, I'll be there in 10 minutes." So I got to add to my little pile, and I have to say and then we had to have the academic discussion of what is a group of them called? Is it a brood? Is it a horde?
It's a dongle.
The dongle. We learned something. The dongle.
It's an orgy.
Thanks to Kayla. Kayla, Google.
No, like, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, the more you know.
I mean, the plural was penai, of course, but like, what do you call the actual group of?
Right?
Yeah, it's a dongle.
I'm into it.
A dongle of dongs.
So I have more members to my dongle. So you'll all have to go.
So we're gonna call
We got
you
more
the
members
dongle
now.
reader.
The dongle.
What was it, like dongle?
So Sandy asked, "Is it ever too late to learn?"
No.
Nope.
Not only is it never too late to learn, you should never stop.
Amen.
Yes.
One of my favorite psychology teachers was a man. He was Dr. Coffey. When I met him, was 81. He'd spent the first 60 years of his life as like an astrophysicist, retired for all of 3 days before he got bored, and then went and got his master's in psychology so he could teach community college. Because he's like, I was bored. I needed to do something. So 82 years old, was teaching college, going, I learn everything. I learn new things every day. It's something to do. It's like, if you're not learning, what are you doing?
All right. So Lori says, all I could think of was Harry Potter Professor McGonagall, but Professor Dongle.
How inappropriate am I allowed to be? So I can point out that Professor McGonagall's technically second form was a cat. Another word for a cat is a...
Yep.
All right. Anybody with children watching, send them out of the room.
Don't do that to me.
So what's the best way to tap into your spirit guides and hear them? Not all at once.
Looking at you,
I
Maria.
have no clue. When they decide I haven't been listening or haven't been getting it, I get slapped upside the head. Other than that, I don't know.
Meditation. Seriously, meditation with the intent to connect to your guides. That's the road I went.
I'll agree with that.
You don't have to do a long meditation. You can do a
No.
30-minute meditation. It'll take you in and out quick. But another thing is, even people who say they cannot meditate, you do it on a daily basis and you don't realize it. You know, you're in your car and you're driving and you don't realize where, you know, you start thinking of all these things in your head and you're getting ideas and you're getting thoughts and you've had this long drawn out conversation in your head. You just don't know who with. And then you realize you've made your destination. Well, wait a minute. I don't remember any of this. I remember all the thinking that's been going on, or walking. That's another thing too. Good ways to meditate that you don't realize you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. I actually do better myself with like movement meditation to sit there.
My best meditations are usually when I just put in the headphones and I crank up the rock so loud that I can't think.
Mhm.
And I get into the music, and the stuff that sits with me, despite all of that noise, that's the stuff that holds me.
That happens to me sometimes.
You know,
There'll be a certain lyric from a song
and then
that just clicks.
so, you know, like I'll go, well, I haven't done it in a while, but when I would go in the morning walks and the 5Ks, like the amount of like ahas and everything that come through while doing that, and just listening to the rhythmic footsteps kind of shuts part of that brain down and lets it go.
Water for me does it. Like it draws me in, and like I'll start to like see, almost like scrying, I guess, basically, right? Essentially, it's like seeing the answers that you need or following where it needs to go, feeling it run through you, kind of a thing.
I'll get mine with knitting. If I just do like basic knit stitches, like I've gotten myself into deep, deep grooves before where I'm usually pretty attentive to what's going on in the room around me. If I get myself in deep enough, it literally takes someone kind of going, "Hey, talking to you," like, "Oh shit, sorry." Like it's like Melissa said, sometimes if you can't sit still, there are movement options. There are ways to stimulate your body in such a rhythmic, measured way that it will kind of trick your brain into going, "Oh, cool, this is what we're doing now." And you don't get distracted by going, "I'm not holding still. I'm not holding still. I didn't breathe deep enough." Like you got to get out of your own head. You got to quit acting. You can't critique yourself while you meditate.
Washing dishes, the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said for like busying part of the body and that part of the mind that it makes room for something else to finally kick in. So Sandy, back to being too late to learn, and we all said no. And she said, "Thank goodness my interest in learning and all the things has only come about recently, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore."
Yes, you are.
You know, and basically
Just a matter, it might be rotisserie at this point.
And that's one thing that I find very common for especially a lot of us ladies that have had kids. It's very common for a lot of us to say we were tuned in and tapped in when we were younger, and then you lost it or you turned it off. And then as the kids are getting older, they're moving out of the house, it starts creeping back up again. You have an interest again, and it's because you no longer have all of those distractions of school, homework, you know, messy diapers, you know, all of those things that are constantly vying for your attention. And so now it's quieter, and now you can pay attention again, and you can devote the time to it again without all of those other things.
Paying attention, I think, is the key. There's often a lot of talk about focus, be focused, be focused. Yet, interestingly enough, sometimes the best way to get focus is to lose focus and pay attention to what's left.
Like a magic eye picture.
Those are so fun.
Yeah.
I can't do
the quickest way to get the image you focus on is to lose focus of the you know, all of the mundane bullshit that's in the way.
Well, that even goes back to like what Melissa just said. Like that's one of the more popular anecdotes about Einstein is that he, when he got himself to a point where he couldn't figure out how to articulate what it is he knew to be true, he went and got a menial job somewhere so that he could do things that just let him zone out and not focus on anything that was important. And again, like Joan said, doing the dishes, do something mundane. Give yourself permission to do those things that are rhythmic and mundane and common, because it's in those moments that you will finally calm your inner voice enough that whatever higher spirit you have will be able to finally speak loud enough and you'll hear it. You're like, "Oh shit, now I hear you." Because I'm not, every time you think, every time you get distracted, when you get stressed, when you get tired, when you've got kids and a family and a job, like that creates noise, that creates static. And you have to find ways to just turn it down. You can't always turn it off, but you can at least get it to turn down a little bit.
And like Nikki was saying, I don't know if you guys could hear Sherlock Holmes, like even though it's a fictional book, you figure though, when he was working on a crime, he would play violin and then problem solve that way.
My best meditation ever was when I got my house and I started sanding all my trim and I was restaining and clearing. Like when I did all that, I was like, holy crap, like the amount that came through to me for me or for things that I needed was like absolutely insane. It was just like this monotonous, like no thought work of getting the trim done.
Great. Now I have that song in my head. Thank you, Lori. Turn down for what? I'd load it up and play it, but I don't want the copyright, problem. Sandy says folding. Whoops, it jumped. Folding towels for her.
Yeah.
Lori, sorry, the song popped when you said it. Yeah. So we're actually getting close to the end of our hour. So if there's any last minute questions or comments, otherwise, while we wait for them to pop up, if you're new to this, we do this the last Sunday of the month after the psychic fair at 8:00 here on our YouTube and on our Facebook page. And you can ask us pretty much anything on opinions, how we do things, how we got into things, how do we learn. So feel free to write down questions all month and then come bombard us with it later, because otherwise we sit around going and literally at my kitchen table with Nikki going, I don't have a question ready to go. The full card, go. I'm like, thanks.
There we go.
But yeah, we do this monthly after the psychic fair, and usually the people that are on with us are some of the readers that were at that day's fair. So hopefully at some point we'll do one after the winery, and we'll have Kayla and Mike.
Were you guys busy on the shop side today?
What's that?
Were you guys busy on the shop side today?
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of like, I have to go work more. Made the mistake of going upstairs, putting on my comfy pants, sat down on the bed, and like zoned out, and went, I have to go eat. It's 7. I have to go do more. So Lori asks, Scorpio full moon, how are you guys all liking the energy?
Speaking as a Scorpio, fucking driving. This is great. I love the chaos.
It's my rising sign, so things have to be revealed. Shit's coming to the surface. Surprise.
Yeah, lots of fun.
It's like the Tower card. Come on. This is Tower full moon, right?
Yeah. Everybody get a helmet. You're going to need one.
I bought one of those big inflatable bubbles so that I can just ride it down the hill.
Yeah.
Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll. Tuck and roll.
You didn't bring that bubble for us to push you around the store today?
What a waste. What a waste.
You guys don't need the bubble for that. We've already proven it.
I always enjoy full moons when they show up in any of the water signs, because my big 3 are all 3 water signs.
Oh, like last month?
Yeah.
The last full moon in Cancer?
Yeah. So when the full moons show up in water signs, so I'm a Scorpio. I'm married to Cancer. Full moons in this house are real fun.
All right. Lori wants to know, how do we know when we're going to be doing the winery? I will probably touch base with them here in about a month or so. We're kind of waiting out, seeing what's going to happen with all this COVID crap. So we're kind of playing it year by year. Them being a food place, they're under tougher restrictions than I am at the shop. So it's kind of like what we're waiting on, but hopefully here soon. But we're not going to be able to do June just because. So hopefully September, fingers crossed that we can do September. Dare I ask?
My brother is in the chat tonight, and he just said not commenting on the full moon. There's all sorts of wonderful stuff behind that. Emphasis on behind.
And Laura, one of our other readers, she's a Scorpio rising too. My son actually, Scorpio rising. Not that I follow any of that.
Spoken like a true Aries.
Right?
Again, we've done this. Go back and watch the old ones. You'll hear my opinion on astrology and all that. It really freaking means. Have somebody who's read into some psychology and does a lot. Like for a hot minute, I was going to go be an FBI profiler. I truly believe that your surrounding and your parental upbringing and your genetic lineage have way more to do with your life then what the fucking planets up there have to say. Otherwise, everybody born on Hitler's birthday would be like a Hitler. Everybody born on Jeffrey Dahmer would be like Jeffrey Dahmer. But guess what? Jeffrey Dahmer's mother was kind of a bitch. So therefore, here we go.
So here's somebody that doesn't like the temperance cards either.
I could care less. I don't really read tarot.
I don't read it. It means nothing. I'm just gonna fold the newspaper up and
that nature versus nurture type thing, the psychology is more than some rocks up in the sky for me.
So environmental or genetic?
It's both. It's both.
What you got there?
So when it comes to Lenormand, actually, Dawn is getting ready to start some Lenormand classes.
Yeah. For those of you that are interested in cards, take a class with Don. Don is an excellent teacher. He's a good break into the card lifestyle.
My God, how many decks does that man actually own and use?
I would
400.
400.
And his wife has her own collection of a few hundred.
And those two don't overlap.
Wow.
They don't share.
Yeah. So look here, Joan, remember how I keep saying, like, when are their classes coming? And you do that to me? See? The public.
Come see me second Tuesday. So hold on, let me get the...
That doesn't get to count as a class.
You know
That's
what?
not a class.
Come hang with me on May 11th.
Don't be trying to take the cheap way out.
You can do this too.
We'll see. And back to for Don, that doesn't count the ones that he can't find. And now
This is true. This is true. I have this lovely caricature in my head that, like, there are times like he sits down in chairs and all of a sudden kind of like can't get comfortable and like reaches under the seat and pulls out a deck of cards and goes, "Huh, I don't remember buying this one."
And he said that before too.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt.
He's bought decks that he already bought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Don will read an Uno deck.
I have to warn him, and I'm like, I think you've bought this one. They changed the box. Like, I'm pretty sure you have it already.
No, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get like a Cards Against Humanity deck and stuff like that and give it to him just to see what he'd do. I think that would be amazing.
Don will read an Uno deck for you. Yes, he will.
Yes.
And it will make sense, and it will be right, and it'll be accurate.
Your mother-in-law is a blank. You actually get this. Your husband's this. It's like it just
You're really called out.
And he'll fill in the blanks without hesitation.
You know what? Actually,
don't be a twat waffle.
think about that. You could use cards of humanity or whatever they're called, the Cards Against Humanity, with a tarot deck. And I always use 2 or 3 tarot decks when I'm reading, or tarot and oracle. You could pull one of those and one of these. It's like using the Rebel deck. I use the Rebel deck in the same way. Pull one, pull another, put it together. Dude, I got reading.
I did a full reading with the Rebel deck. One of my first clients today. Like I had all the decks out or whatever, and I had that one with my little selenite sitting on top of it. And I was like, all right, which deck is talking loudest to you? And she's like, that one with the unicorn. I'm like, oh, well, you kind of wanted a tarot reading. And she's like, no, that's the one. I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
Let's do this.
It was we giggled the whole damn time because the messages in that deck are so deeply, wonderfully, lovingly accurate. They boil down to basically, quit being an effing dumbass. Stop doing that. Go get a glass of water, take a nap. It's like, this is advice that everyone should take.
I really love my deck. It speaks to me very, very well. I'm starting to expand a little bit. I've got one client on the phone. She working me. She pressing me. I got 3 different decks out for her. And it's like I wait for which one screams at me while she's bombarding me with questions for the right. Wait a minute, I have to change decks for this.
Yeah, I mean, you figure Don walks in with a duffel bag.
Yeah.
Of decks for every psychic fair.
Well, half of it's candy and jerky, but
Don has
which
snacks.
he's willing to share.
Don packs for the flood. It's great.
We were talking to him today about bring in the venison jerky, but he says no, I don't. He says
No,
that never leaves the shop.
I'm gonna tap my Appalachian hometown. There's a lot of deer hunters and stuff like that. I guarantee you, if I poke around enough, somebody somewhere is making venison jerky that will hook me up with a shipment.
Oh man,
I will make this happen.
Next psychic killer man. All right. Well, we're already past 9, so been fun. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll do this again next month. That last Sunday, we do it 8:00. I won't give the date out because it's not coherent if you're watching this on a replay in a year from now. So the last Sunday of the month, 8:00. Feel free to join us. We enjoy the questions. We enjoy the interaction. It's a lot of fun. I think we all enjoy doing it.
Ooh, the May Sunday is right before Memorial Day, which means none of us have a bedtime because we don't have to go to work the following day. Heck yeah.
We're going to be unsupervised.
Maybe
I
I
thought
won't
we
be in
usually
my
were
home.
anyway.
Huh?
I thought we usually were anyway.
Well, they don't need to know that. Now you let the kids out.
That's why Melissa shoves me off on Hank's side of the wall. She's like, someone has to supervise them. It's like, joke's on you. I'm part of the mischief. Like,
I'm like, you were supposed to be.
I know. I was in the really well-behaved section today.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I was a straight face until now, but okay.
You know, that's only because there are multiple
She was sitting next
customers
to
in the
Fiona
store.
and
We have to,
so.
got all the regular customers in the store. We have to tame ourselves around trouble.
Quit scaring away the newbies coming in for the fair, guys. That's all I'm saying. We want them to come back.
Absolutely.
But, even the entertainment was pretzels and the laughs, so,
All right.
I enjoyed myself.
And with that,
Did
before
you?
we get to, oh, good Lord. Why do I feel like I'm gonna have to write a handbook, an employee handbook for the readers? Like, thou shalt not.
We're all gonna get written up after this. We got detention. We better stay after.
Right.
Sorry, we all
catch
know
me.
how well Melissa follows the rules to begin with, so we're good.
What about me?
That was a call out if I've ever heard one.
Good Lord. Y'all are back. I'm ending this live.
That's why we love you. That's why we love this so much.
You want her to end it early. Just tell her what her horoscope is.
Just start deep dive into astrology.
Just like, and
And click.
I take your horoscope and I say bullshit, and I do what I'm going to do anyway. Because those planets don't give a shit about what I'm doing.
I will find a horoscope that matches what kind of day you had. Hold on. Let me Google it.
Out of how many others that are wrong, because astrology is so perfect and right all the way around.
Like what the horoscope? Like there's a what the weather.
What?
Is there like a what the horoscope? Like there's a what the forecast thing?
I don't know, but there needs to be.
Horrible, inappropriate, like raunchy horoscope.
No, here's a fun fact. The guy who made the what the forecast app, where it like cusses at you while it tells the forecast, now has a BS navigation. And I found this out while in Tucson. So while driving around, if you miss your turn, the woman's like, "What the fuck are you doing, moron?" Making you laugh.
Oh, that's just like having a wife
I'm
or a
like,
husband
this
on the
is hilarious.
passenger seat.
So
My father was a truck driver, and he talked to me about he had a TomTom. He said he pissed that thing off so bad it tried to get him to drive off of a bridge.
Turn left now. No, really. Now.
Hit the accelerator.
So I got called a moron a few times, asked what the fuck I thought I was doing a few times. It's a very fun navigation
I feel like I need this for right
app. It's free. You can download it. BS navigation. And why we're talking about this when we're supposed to be off, I have no idea.
I need to ride home.
We're having fun.
We're all getting overtired. We're not going on to like the fourth wind of the day.
Yes, look at these bags here. It's time to
Right.
go crawl.
Better
in.
unpack them.
Huh?
Go unpack them.
I still have got my suitcase back from Tucson still. It's lazy. All right, for what, the fourth time?
Once more with feeling.
Right. I mean it this time, not for play. So yes, join us next month. The last Sunday, 8:00, same places. Have a great night, everybody. And I'm running away.
Nice.
Goodbye.